I'm Sarah McKeever.
And I'm Matt Howell, and this is Spoke TV, your source for news produced by second-year journalism broadcast students from Conestoga College. Welcome to Spoke TV's election 2015 coverage. We've been working hard to bring you a full understanding of the 6 ridings in the area, including who is running, what the issues are, and what matters to our local citizens.
We'll bring you interviews from candidates from the new riding in our region, Kitchener-South Hespeler, as well as from Kitchener Centre, Kitchener-Conestoga, Waterloo, Cambridge, and Guelph. We have reporters standing by with live results at these 6 ridings and in and around Waterloo region.
Let's get started by checking in with Natalie McCallium.
I'm here at the Edelweiss Tavern just off Homer Watson near Conestoga College. We're currently following the Liberal candidate Marwan Tabara, who's representing Kitchener-South Hespeler. Right now, residents have begun to show up to show their support for the Liberals. Tabara is expected any time now to give his speech, and currently the Liberals are sitting at 154 seats. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Natalie. And now over to Lindsay Griesbach, who is watching the Liberal results in the riding of Kitchener Centre.
Thanks, guys. I'm here at the Fork and Cork Grill with Raj Saini, the Liberal candidate for Kitchener Centre. People are starting to arrive and there's anticipation and excitement in the air. We've got some live music that looks like it's going to be happening later, and a lot of people are just waiting to see the results. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Lindsay. Let's now check in with Peter Scott, who is watching the results with the Conservative candidate for Kitchener-Conestoga.
Thank you, Matt and Sarah. We are here tonight outside of Williamsburg Arms for the results party for Conservative candidate Harold Albrecht in the Kitchener-Conestoga riding. The Liberals so far have run a clean sweep in Atlantic Canada, with the Conservatives being the main opposition, but the Conservatives are looking for a big win here, as Mr. Albrecht has held the riding since 2006. Back to you, Sarah and Matt.
Thanks, Peter. We've got Carmen Ponciano standing by in the riding of Waterloo.
Thanks, guys. I'm here at Maxwell Concert and Events at University Avenue, anxiously waiting for the results for the Waterloo riding. Earlier today on the Atlantic side, Liberals were on the lead, and it's the same here for the province of Ontario. So far, the Liberals are at 55, followed by the Conservatives at 18, NDP at 6, Green Party and others at 0. I guess we're just going to have to wait and see what the results would be for the city of Waterloo. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Carmen. We now head to the Cambridge riding, where Alex Spears is with the local NDP candidate.
I'm here at the Preston Legion with Bobby Stewart, the NDP candidate for Cambridge North Dumfries. A modest turnout so far, but everybody is smiling and enjoying themselves. As you can see behind me, a lot of local residents are gathered around the TV watching the polls come in. The big question tonight, will an orange wave take over Cambridge? Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Alex. Let's now check in with Kyle Roy-Akers, who is with the Liberal candidate in the riding of Guelph.
I'm here in Guelph at the bookshelf, and upstairs in the E-bar, the Liberal Party is waiting for the results to roll in.
There's a buzz in the air, red everywhere, and not unlike dominoes, the votes in favor of the Liberal Party are quickly tumbling across Canada. We already know who the elected official is for Guelph.
Back to you in the studio.
The riding of Kitchener-South Hespeler is one of 30 that was newly introduced this year. Spoke TV reporter Amanda Hewson met with the candidates in order to hear their platform and find out what they plan on doing differently.
With the elections just around the corner, the Kitchener-South Hespeler candidates are campaigning themselves before time runs out. But will it be enough? Kitchener-South Hespeler is one of 30 new ridings this year. Its boundaries stretch out to the part of Cambridge just lying northerly of Highway 401, all the way across Conestoga Parkway out to Fisher-Holman Road. One of the Green Party's incentives is to abolish tuition by the year 2020. David Weber, a longtime police officer, is passionate about the well-being of students.
Without that debt, it gives you more opportunities, and it also allows people to be entrepreneurs more. When they don't have that sense of a burden, it allows them the freedom to be more inventive and perhaps start their own businesses with the education they have and what have you.
NDP candidate Lorne Bruce is passionate about the well-being of children, as one of his incentives is to launch Melcare's plan of affordable childcare.
Well, our platform is very reasonably sound, practical, and people can really relate to it because it actually makes a difference in their lives.
Conservative candidate Marianne Gagne hopes to start off the Kitchener-South Hespeler riding on a strong foot and create new jobs in a balanced budget. Currently, the Liberals have taken over the polls nationally, which excites Liberal candidate Marwan Tabara. Tabara is passionate about welcoming new Canadians and hopes to maintain local jobs by finding economical and educational solutions.
4 days before the election, and we're really pushing hard to get out the voters. And there's still some undecided voters, so we want to really engage with them and talk to them and inform them about our platform, because we got a historic platform of $125 billion that we're investing in infrastructure.
Candidates have been campaigning for 11 weeks now, but with polls coming to a close on Monday, it is now up to locals to make their choice. If you are a part of the South Hespeler riding, you can vote at many locations, including Conestoga College. For Spoke TV, I'm Amanda Hewson.
Kitchener Center has one of the most diverse populations in the Waterloo region, with a high number of immigrants, elderly, and low-income families. It's a riding that should be watched closely. October 19th is finally here, and Canadians are headed to the polls. For the riding of Kitchener Center, the race is a close one. The riding is completely urban and sits east of Fisher-Holman Road, north of the Conestoga Parkway, and west of the Grand River. With a population of nearly 104,000 people, it is the most diverse riding in Waterloo region, with 1 in 5 residents born outside of Canada and a poverty rate of 17%. The seat has been held by Conservative Stephen Woodworth since 2008, after defeating the Liberals, who previously represented Kitchener Center for 11 years. Stephen Woodworth is seeking another re-election and says that he intends to continue making things easier for residents.
My constituents. I grew up in Kitchener. I know people in every neighborhood, and they're my friends and neighbors. So I help primarily by assisting individuals to deal with Government of Canada agencies.
Running in her first election, NDP candidate Susan Cadell says it is important for residents to know that their votes count.
I think a big part of it is people not feeling heard, people not feeling a part of the conversation. I talked to one person who hasn't bothered voting for 20 years. I've talked to a number of people who have never voted because they don't care, they don't feel like their voice counts. A number of young people who feel the same.
Liberal candidate Raj Saini believes that change is what Kitchener Center needs in order for local concerns to be appropriately represented in Ottawa.
Talking about as a party is real change. A change from a different style of government to a completely different style of government. In Kitchener Center specifically, I believe that we have not been paid attention to. Our interests and concerns have not been advocated at the highest levels.
The decision made in Kitchener Center is often watched closely on election night. In the past 9 federal elections, the party who wins here is right in determining which party wins the most seats in Ontario, often determining the winning party across the country. For Spoke TV, I'm Sarah McKeever.
The Kitchener-Conestoga riding is one of the biggest ridings in the area, with both rural and urban sections. Spoke TV's Caleb Herbison tells us who's running and the problems they are focusing on.
With Kitchener-Conestoga being the largest riding in the Waterloo region, there are many varying issues within each community and township.
Harold Albrecht has been the MP in the riding since 2006 and is seeking re-election. But with this riding consisting mostly of rural areas, this leaves a strong chance of a different party being elected.
There are many varying issues within each community, but one seems to be the same within each, and that's farming.
And with an increased amount of young people in the area, as well as the farmers, the Green Party hopes to attract a larger demographic in this riding.
The farmers themselves are very likely already thinking in green terms. You know, sustainable farmland. They want to maintain their livelihood by ensuring that their farm continues to remain productive, and so those are green ideas. Sustainability is a green idea.
With a strong urban presence in the riding as well, there is a concern for local and large-scale business infrastructure.
We need to focus on helping them grow and expand and develop. With free trade, so many of these companies have been moving south of the border because they can manufacture for less.
With Kitchener-Conestoga being such a diverse region of many boundaries between urban and rural communities, there is a wide variety of issues facing the candidates. And many wonder if their needs and issues will be addressed before and even after the election. For Spoke TV, I'm Caleb Herbison.
With a wide variety of party signs around the city, it would appear that residents in Cambridge were looking for change in this year's election. Spoke TV's Michelle Ramos has more on some of the options that residents had at the polls.
With the election coming up quickly, many Cambridge and North Dumfries residents are heading to the polls with various concerns. Many residents have taken to social media to voice their concerns about job creation and housing in the riding. There are 4 major parties and 1 independent candidate running for office this year. Historically, the Conservatives or the Liberals have held position in this riding. Lise Berduti is an independent candidate running with no party or political experience, but hopes to bring Cambridge some necessary change.
I've been going door to door and talking to people, and they say, you know what, I'm not voting. And I ask why, and they say, no matter who's in power, it's the same thing, over and over and over again.
Some voters feel disconnected from politicians and their parties and are looking for a change in leadership, typically referring to the previous Liberal or Conservative rule.
However, there is a party that has never held office in Cambridge. The NDP has been second runner-up for many years in Cambridge.
Cambridge NDP candidate Bobby Stewart believes her party can bring the change residents are looking for.
We know there are a lot of people that do not want to vote for Mr. Harper. They want change, they're ready for change. They have a lot of big concerns about Mr. Harper and the way he governs, and the way he spends money or doesn't spend money. But when we talk about the Liberals, we know that people are torn between, if they don't want Harper, they're typically thinking of voting Liberal or NDP.
The Conservatives and the Liberals were unable to comment on their parties' platforms. It is possible that this riding will see a change in leadership. For Spoke TV, I'm Michelle Ramos.
Change is on everyone's mind during this federal election, specifically on what the parties are willing to do for their community. Shruti Rajagopalan has more on what two running candidates want to bring to the table.
Waterloo riding emerges as a campaign battle as the election nears. There are 4 major parties running for the city bordering from Wilmot, Woolwich and Kitchener. Current MP Peter Braid is running for the Conservatives, Diane Freeman for New Democratic Party, Bardish Chagar for the Liberals, and Richard Walsh for the Green Party. I'm here at the University Avenue in the city of Waterloo. With the federal elections coming up, who's going to win the Waterloo riding is the big question. Liberal candidate Bardish Chagar talks about the changes she would address if elected.
We're committed to making a historic investment in infrastructure, and that investment is almost doubling the current investment. We'll be taking it to $130 billion, $125 billion, sorry. And that will not only work for Canadians, but it will work for municipalities and communities.
Though the Green Party has promised free tuition for students, Walsh shares what he will be doing in particular to the city.
We'll be converting our economy from reliance on non-renewable sources of energy to relying on renewable sources and retrofitting buildings.
According to Waterloo Chronicle, Liberals and Conservatives are neck to neck in this election race. We will have to wait and see if change in the government will come to the city of Waterloo or will it be the same. For Spoke TV, I'm Shruti Rajagopalan.
There was an increase in student voters during this year's federal election. Spoke TV reporter Carla Buela spoke to some of Guelph's candidates to find out what they plan to do for students if they get elected.
With the federal election around the corner, many of Guelph's residents, especially students, are still wondering whom they should put their vote towards. There are 7 parties running in the Guelph riding. Guelph's Green Party candidate Gord Miller feels very strongly about students when it comes to the rising of tuition and student fees.
Absolutely. I mean, the Green Party is very concerned about students because, concerned about student debt. That's why we want to phase out tuition. We want to cap debt, mostly because it's not just a giveaway of money. It's to encourage young people again, because the burden of debt is so great on young people coming out of school that it's unreasonable. But, I'll tell you, this election's been long and hard, and as things have changed.
With each party campaigning towards students in one way or another, the parties have seen an increase in student interest and in student voting. Guelph's Conservative candidate Gloria Kovac has been in contact with Conestoga College during her campaigning.
I've been working on some programming at Conestoga to make sure it matches what industry and small businesses want for jobs, to make sure the programs match so that we can ensure jobs when you graduate.
Guelph's NDP, Marijuana, Libertarian and Communist parties were unable to comment on what they plan to do for the students of Guelph. The Liberals will comment on Monday after the polls are closed. For Spoke TV, I'm Carla Buela.
Now that we have a better understanding of each of the 6 local ridings, let's check back in with our reporters who are live on location with the candidates. Natalie McCallum is in the riding of Kitchener-South Hespeler. Natalie?
Thanks, guys. It's been quite a night here at Edelweiss. So the results are in, and it is official. Kitchener-South Hespeler riding will be a Liberal riding. Now, unfortunately, Marwan Tabara is unable to comment because he, of course, is thanking all the residents who came out to support him. Overall, the Canadian government will now be a Liberal government. Canadians want a change, and this is what they're going to get.
Thanks, Natalie. Lindsay Griesbach is standing by with newly elected Liberal MP for Kitchener Centre, Raj Saini. Lindsay?
Thanks, guys. So I'm here with Liberal MP Raj Saini. So how do you feel right now after your win?
Fantastic. It was a great campaign. I had a lot of great volunteers. A lot of people took time out of their lives to make this possible. This victory is for them. It's really unbelievable feeling.
What does this mean for Kitchener Centre?
This means now Kitchener Centre is going to have a very effective advocate at the highest levels of government, that I'm going to try my best to make sure that infrastructure, that families, that youth, that seniors are all going to get an opportunity to rise. And I think that more importantly, that we're going to bring our community together. This is going to be a time and an era of inclusivity and no more division.
That's great. Thank you so much. Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Dream of a country where we see fellow citizens not with suspicion, but more importantly, mes chers amis, more importantly, dream of a country not ruled by fear, but governed by hope. Thank you very much.
What an exciting night it's been here for Kitchener Centre, a Liberal win for Raj Saini and majority government across the country. So it looks like it's going to be a night of drinking and music and celebration. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Lindsay. Let's now check in with Peter Scott to give us the latest update for Conservative incumbent Harold Albrecht in Kitchener-Conestoga. Peter?
We're here tonight inside Williamsburg Arms with Harold Paisley, who is the president of the Kitchener-Conestoga Conservative Association. So, Harold, how do you feel tonight's going here?
I think we're doing pretty good in Kitchener-Conestoga. I got my fingers crossed, and I'm hoping we can pull it off, but still feeling a little uncomfortable. I think last I watched there on the screen, we're about 700 votes ahead, but I'd like to be a lot more than that, and we'll keep our fingers crossed.
So have there been any surprises that you've seen on the voting results coming in from throughout the country?
Yeah, for sure. I was really surprised in Quebec to see such a huge shift. You know, we had the large NDP contingent in the last parliament, and it's shifted around. Now you have a large Liberal contingent. I mean, that's a key thing in giving the Liberals a majority.
How do you feel about the new government that's been coming into Ottawa in this new year?
Well, obviously I'm disappointed. I'd like to have seen a Conservative government, but we'll just hope that the new Prime Minister Trudeau does his very best.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
As people file out of Williamsburg Arms, it's a bittersweet moment as Harold Albrecht holds his riding Kitchener-Conestoga, but the Conservatives lose Liberals, where Liberals now have majority government. With a strong showing in Quebec, it'll be interesting to see what the Liberals have in store. Back to you, Sarah and Matt.
Thanks, Peter. We'll now go to Alex Spears, who is standing by for an interview with the NDP candidate for Cambridge. Alex?
Thanks, Matt and Sarah. I'm here with Bobby Stewart, the NDP candidate in Cambridge. Bobby, how are you feeling tonight?
Awesome. I'm so excited. I'm nervous. I don't know what's going to happen. I think it's going to be a close three-way race here.
How have the last couple of days been treating you? You got to be a little bit stressed out.
It's not really stressed, just like antsy. Keeping busy, out there delivering leaflets yesterday, keeping busy at the campaign office today. I took a little bit of a quiet time today. But it's like waiting for Christmas. When you're a little kid, you're waiting for Santa Claus, and it's like, okay, don't know what's going to happen.
Is it fair to say you're more than a little bit excited to find out the news?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And I'm also in the frame of mind that I will accept whatever comes our way. I have a feeling Mr. Harper is no longer going to be our Prime Minister. And so that makes me feel very comfortable. It's hard dealing with a corporate party. Liberals share some of our values, but as we all know, they still cater to the wealthy. I know we didn't get nearly as many seats as we needed, but we know Tom will still be a really, really strong voice in government.
Sarah, it's been an exciting night here at the Preston Legion. Brian May and the Liberals appear to have won, but Bobby is still in high spirits and hopeful that the Liberals will do a better job than Harper. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Alex. I understand there's quite a party going on in Waterloo with newly elected Liberal MP Bart East Chagger. Carmen Ponciano is standing by.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Bardi's Chegar as she shares how she feels about being the new Liberal MP for the Waterloo riding.
So hopeful for Canada, looking forward. And what's the next step for you? Well, we are going to represent the constituents of Waterloo. Our doors will open up again. We will restore democracy. We will restore the voice of Canadians.
So what a great day. Together, today the people of Waterloo and Canada have chosen real change.
As you can see, the people and energy behind you is ecstatic as Waterloo got the change that it was looking for as Bardi's Chegar won the MP position for the Waterloo riding. And the Liberal Party won the overall election for 2015. Back to you in the studio. Wow, it certainly is loud at the party in Waterloo. Now we'll head back to Guelph, where reporter Kyle Royacres is standing by with newly elected Liberal MP Lloyd Longfield. Kyle?
Thank you, Matt and Sarah. I'm here with Lloyd Longfield, the elected Liberal candidate for Guelph Region. So, Lloyd, how did it feel when they announced a majority government for the Liberals?
I don't think many people saw that coming, and it felt great. I know that we can affect real change better when we're a majority. There's no talk of anything other than what do we do going forward now.
And what are some of the changes that you're looking forward to the most for the Guelph region and Canada as a whole?
Well, I'd take it right down to Conestoga. We're looking at investing in infrastructure, which means we have a lot of building to do. So we'll be relying on Conestoga students to get their trades certified, to get themselves into positions for employment, because we want to create employment through investment in Canada. Over the next 10 years, we want to be spending $20 billion on infrastructure. So we want Conestoga to help us with that.
Well, thanks for talking to us, Lloyd.
Okay, thank you.
Hope you have a wonderful night.
You bet.
That's it for us. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Kyle. There we have it. Our new Prime Minister is Justin Trudeau, and the Liberals have certainly made history, coming up from third place for a huge win across the country tonight with 184 seats for majority government.
Let's now take a look at the final numbers in our area. One of Canada's newly formed ridings, Kitchener-South Hespeler, elected Liberal candidate Marwan Tabera. He took 42% of the votes in a tight race with Conservative candidate Marion Gagne, who trailed behind with 36% of the votes.
In Kitchener Centre, the Liberal trend continues, with Raj Sani taking 48% of the votes.
In Kitchener-Conestoga, we have our only Conservative win in this region. Incumbent Harold Albrecht keeps his seat, winning with 43% of the votes. There were barely 400 votes separating him and Liberal candidate Tim Lewis.
Waterloo is also painted red, with Bardi's Chegar beating Conservative candidate Peter Braid. Newly elected Liberal MP Brian May took 43% of the votes in Cambridge, putting him ahead 4% over long-term PC MP Gary Goodyear.
Over in Guelph, the Liberal tradition continues, with Lloyd Longfield taking 49% of the votes.
The longest election campaign in recent history has concluded with many changes across the country. The number of upsets, Conservative and NDP seat losses, have taken many by surprise.
Voter turnout was up slightly, with 68% of Canadians going to the polls. The Liberals now have a clear majority government. They needed a minimum of 170 seats to gain a majority and surpassed that no problem with 184 seats.
Thanks for watching this special edition of Spoke TV. I'm Matt Howell.
And I'm Sarah McKeever. Join us next week with our weekly news in and around the Waterloo region. With more news and information, check out spoketv.ca.